Welcome back, everybody, to the Fired Up podcast, where we help and inspire you to level up yourself and your life. And today we are talking about a topic that I am very encouraged by and have been involved in for quite some time, since 2017. We're talking about all things crypto. We're talking about how it works, what it is, and how you can get involved and how you can stay safe in this industry. It's a hot topic at the moment because it's making headlines again, pretty much off the back of the Trump pump that we saw at the back of the election. Now people are starting to put this back in the headlines around how amazing this thing is and what it can do for us. So today I'm very happy to have on the show Mr. Curry Freedom, who's kind enough to join us and talk about his industry expertise. And Curry's calling in from Florida at the moment, but just talking off camera before, we found out that Curry is going to be making the move to El Salvador. And if you know anything about what El Salvador has done in this space, it will make sense to why he is going down that path. So we'll talk about that. Curry, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, Bitcoin Beach. I'm headed there.
Sounds like a lovely place. Hey,
absolutely.
let's start off. I think I've done a few episodes on this for anybody who's been following the channel. I mean, for me, I initially got into Bitcoin and Ethereum both at the same time in 2017. The reason I got into it was because I had heard about it, and I had heard that this might be a way to make a bit of money. And that was my initial reason for getting into the space. I put some money there, and I continued to dollar cost average into those, not huge amounts, just kind of a bit of play money on the sideline. And I didn't actually look back into that. I had Coinbase at the time. I didn't look back into that wallet until late 2019. And what I saw when I opened that wallet was quite surprising to me in a good way.
Yeah.
So then things had kind of evolved a bit more, and there was an exchange that had opened in Australia because Coinbase was the only one I could get into at the initial stage, and some exchanges that had opened in Australia, so we could open new accounts and things like that. And then also, there was some more technology and some more applications and some more coins coming into the space. And then I kind of really went deep into teaching myself about what this is and what this can do. And I mean, over then, so the last 4 or 5 years, I've been heavily involved in that. So let's start with you. I'm keen to know how and when did you get into this space?
So 2016, I was I'm a golf professional by trade. I was in between jobs, and I kind of had some time. And I unfortunately learned about Bitcoin in 2011, but didn't read the white paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of in a place where I had time to read a little bit, started to read a little bit about Bitcoin. And, Coinbase obviously was coming out in big, and it was easy to download. And I started to mess around. And I'm totally opposite of you. I didn't just buy a dollar cost average. I went full degen. I went into every shit coin out there that you could find. I was trading on little tiny exchanges around the world, moving Litecoin and stuff all over. I mean, I went in and got kind of the hook. I was convinced. I was scared off by BitConnect with Bitcoin, and I thought, oh, the scammers are going to use this, and Litecoin is a cheaper, faster version of Bitcoin. So I started to try to concentrate in Litecoin. Obviously, that was an epic fail in the long run, and made a little bit of money, but not not if I had put that money into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And from there, I just continued to teach myself. I was still running golf courses, so I was learning, but I realized I was never going to get anywhere trying to retire. I was going to end up working till I was 80, doing what I was doing. There was no way to get ahead. I didn't ever have enough to invest properly to make enough, but I did have enough if I invested in crypto. And, as I moved forward, I was like, this is my retirement fund. I have to make that plan. And after the big collapse in 2018, 2019, I started to make a plan of how to invest and do the research. And really, it was all about pouring my heart into learning about what do these tokens do? Why is this necessary? Find a disruptor. And in the long run, it got me to retirement, got me to be a place where I did retire. And of course, I pretty much lost it all because I looked for a disruptor in Terra Luna. I believe that the modern stable coin is really bullshit and is going to be a way that governments get back into our pockets. They're issued by central authorities. They're trackable. They, adhere. They're just banks is all the modern stable coin is, with the exception of MakerDAO. And of course, Terra Luna was that promise. And I went in head first, put my everything I'd saved for retirement and my Bitcoin, everything into Terra Luna and the UST stablecoin. We all know about, I was actually moving to Belize. I had rented a place for a year for my first year of retirement. And 3 weeks before I was going to move, the Terra Luna in 12 hours went to zero.
Yeah.
That was a big, I had a little bit of Bitcoin, but I also had some Bitcoin. I'd also borrowed against my Bitcoin and had done some things. So I was hurt pretty bad. I had to take a part-time job, relearn. But in the end, this bull run, I've recouped most of that now. Pretty much back to where I was at retirement time 3.5 years ago, and valuable lesson. But I believe in this technology. I believe disruption and the ability for us to be free to transact financially is a must for any kind of freedom. We can't back any freedom. The reason they control us with the financial system is it's the easiest way to control anyone. You take away anyone's ability to buy food, to be able to live, they're going to comply. And by taking this, the ability for governments to control money, we take away their ability. We force them to work for us again. Yeah.
I think just about everyone I speak to who is involved in this space and has been for a period of time, like yourself and me included, has had some sort of horror story. And it, depending on the severity of that horror story, obviously depends on how much investment they've put into it. But because the space is so crazy, a lot of people are looking for that. Okay, where can I put in a small amount of money and have the 2,000% gains?
Yeah.
And they're influenced by the marketing, the promises, all these things. Put the money in, and then what did they get? What they call the rug pull, or they get something going to zero. And I don't even know what the number is now, but I think it's probably in the tens of thousands of coins and cryptocurrencies available in the market if you wanted to go and look at something.
It's actually amazingly, if you go decentralized, it's now over 2 million.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
No, they were minting over 100,000 coins a day during the meme coin craze on Solana.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, that stuff makes the news as well, right? So, what's the most recent one? That Hawk Tour girl.
Hawk Tour. You got Hawk Tour and the one Fart Coin has been making waves on Twitter because the traditional finance people are up in arms. They're like, there's no bubble here. Fart Coin's up 2,000% this year.
Degens
will be degens.
That's right. So, the good and the bad makes the news. And then I guess that gives people that uncertainty around it because they're like, the volatility, I hear this all the time, even with Bitcoin, like, shall I wait for the pullback? And the volatility is crazy. And I'm just like, first of all, I would be saying to anybody, you need to get educated. Don't just jump onto something. You need to actually understand what it is and how it works. And for me, I was like, in order to do that, I actually went backwards the other way. I was like, well, hang on a sec. What is money? What is this colorful bit of paper, and where did it come from, and why does it matter? And how does it work, and who controls it, and what happens if it runs out? Does it run out? And once you start asking yourself all these questions, I quickly went, the financial system is really broken, and it's gonna rapidly go down the wrong path. So I think everybody listening will know of Bitcoin, right? And they won't know probably the rest of the stuff. But let's just start there. In its most simplest terms, can you tell us like what Bitcoin is and what makes it unique or special in comparison to all of the other options?
So Bitcoin is money, unlike the US dollar. Okay, the US or fiat currency. It's not a currency, even though we call them all cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is, infinitely transportable, infinitely divisible. It has all the characteristics of sound money. It's a ledger. Every bank account is a ledger, but in this case, the bank can't create any more units. This is a set supply. No physical asset is like this either until you get into things like fine art, where there's one painting or one. It's probably the most perfect form of money. If you look through the history of money, from the day we traded sand dollars to seashells, then we moved on to salt. And all of these have their issues and their problems. And then man created the gold-backed system. Gold became money, but of course, debasement of the gold, they would mint coins and replace the metal. So what what came up, the Medicis actually came up with the dual accounting system where we'll hold your gold, issue you paper, and then we'll account for this. And that created a stable way to do finance. But of course, it needs a trusted third party. You had to rely that if you went back in with your gold certificate, that they were going to give you back your gold, which didn't always happen. And fast forward, of course, the Bretton Woods era, where the world gave the United States the gold and trusted the United States, the winner of World War II, to hold all the world's gold and not print more dollars than $35 per ounce, the agreed transaction rate. And then every other currency around the world would be based on the US dollar. That system works great, provided the bag holder doesn't print more dollars than they have in gold, which of course, eventually the corrupt politicians did that. Yeah. When France and England got wind of that situation, of course, they went after the gold. They wanted their gold back. And we went off the gold standard. And now, you can say we switched to a petrodollar where all oil was transacted in gold, but really there's no backing. Physical, the greatest thing about money, you can see this. I was thinking actually about this last night. And, if you ask somebody who's been in prison, well, how did they do things, right? They used tobacco, ramen noodles, things like that. They have an economy. People will gravitate to the best form of money. The dollar is certainly convenient because it's been around for 80 years in its current form, 50 years in the fiat form. But what's getting wind is the debasement of the dollar has accelerated to a point people can't get by. And the beauty of Bitcoin, if you demand a payment in Bitcoin, as time goes on, everything in your world gets cheaper when you start to think in Satoshis instead of dollars. And, it takes some training. It does take time, but you really learn to value the hardness of sound currency. And I always go back to the meme that's been passed around a lot, where in 2016, the U.S. median house price was $210,000. That was 650 Bitcoin. Today, the median house price is $450,000. That's 4.5 Bitcoin. If you stored your time and energy, and really that's all money is where we store our time and energy. So if we produce value or if we work, we're storing that in some kind of currency. I mean, doesn't it make sense to store it in the currency that actually gives you more purchasing power?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I heard that, I think it was just a few days ago, around that house meme analogy as well, which is a great one, right? And then people went, oh, hang on a second, because it's, people talk about, especially with property, my house is going up in value at 20% a year or whatever. And you kind of go, is it going up in value, or is it just costing more for everyone else and everything else? Like the rate of the cost of things is going through the roof, and
currency is going down. I mean, let's think about
a
house. How can a house go up in value? It's getting older. It requires more maintenance. The property taxes are always being raised because the government doesn't spend. There's nothing cheaper about, there's nothing more valuable about that home other than the fact that the currency we value it in is dropping like a rock.
Yeah, 100%. So Bitcoin, I mean, there's a bit to unpack there. I mean, you've explained it well. There's the scarcity. It's completely decentralized, which some of these other, well, I think just about all other, if not every other cryptocurrency doesn't have that proposition, right? Maybe they do have some scarcity, but they're not completely decentralized. If you look at the fact that there is a CEO in the business, or there's developers, or whatever the case might be. Yeah. Now, the number of Bitcoin is 21 million. There's been numbers thrown around that 6 million have already kind of disappeared through lost wallets and lost things. Just what's your take on all of that? I'm keen to know what you think is actually out there in the marketplace, and how much have we mined? How much is left?
We've got it's like 19.9 million. So we've got 2.1 million left to go. And that's going to come in the final Bitcoin gets mined in 2140. So the halving, continually reducing supply, will continue all the way through, and the final Bitcoin gets mined in 2140. But the real key at looking at that supply is how it is being held, one, in lost wallets. So we all think, there's 21 million. Divide that, you get a market by the price, or multiply that by the price, you get a market cap. But what we really should be looking at is the amount of Bitcoin that's really circulating in the system. And it's like 77% of coins have not moved in 5 years on chain. So now when you start to look, even of that 21 million, there's only 13%, there's only maybe 3 million of them moving that are actually for sale, or possibly, out there to buy. And now lost and disappeared coins. I know I've followed someone that has really done the research. He thinks it's 5 million right now. A little over 5 million are not going to be around. So you can take that down to, there's 16 million coins available. But I was chatting with a friend the other day, and he said when Bitcoin hit 100K, and he said, boy, I gave my girlfriend a Bitcoin 10 years ago, my ex. He goes, I think she lost the keys to her wallet. And I said, give me her number. I want to thank her. She's just making it more scarce for the rest of us.
Yeah. This that kind of takes us down the path, right? Because I think, look, for anybody, listening to this or watching this, as it relates to being able to buy Bitcoin, and look, I think most of my listeners are in Australia, but either way, in the US, there's Coinbase. In Australia, there's CoinSpot. There's plenty of exchanges. Do some research. Find the one that is, got the reputation, the background, the regulation, or whatever that it needs to be for you to get it. So let's talk about the difference between exchanges and cold wallets, because again, we've heard it in the news with FTX and everything else, and people go, oh, if I buy this, then it's risky. It's like, well, no. What you're doing with it after you've done the transaction is risky. So can you explain to the audience what the difference is between an exchange and a wallet? And then I want to get into that security path, because that guy's girlfriend, she lost her wallet and her password, but
and that is an issue. When you do this, take it seriously. You become the bank, and there is some seriousness to that. You need to take the proper security precautions. But what's more risky is leaving your coins on an exchange. Now, I use a Bitcoin debit card, and I actually deposit USD through Coinbase using their debit card. I spend it and I earn Bitcoin. So I leave a little bit on the exchange so that my deposits are always automatic. They don't hold them for 5 days because of lack of funds. I hold enough there to cover that, and that's how I spend. But if you are considering investing, anytime you get to a significant amount of, even $2,000 or $3,000 worth of Bitcoin, time to take self-custody. And when you take self-custody, you are holding that Bitcoin and owning it. There's no one without, if you can remember 12 seed words in your head, there's nowhere you can't go and get a smartphone device and not be able to access your money. That's the sovereignty of it. The responsibility of it is you've got to hold those keys. And if anybody gets those words, well, they can access your wallet too. Now, hard wallets come in multiple forms, hard and hot wallets, and they come with 12-word seed phrases, 24-word seed phrases. Obviously, 24-word seed phrases are much better. The next step is, how do I store that seed phrase that's secure? And that's going to be different. I've seen some amazingly creative ways where people have taken their favorite book and circled their seed words on preceding pages to get their seed phrase, and they take the book with them everywhere. That's great until you have a fire. I would have a backup to that. Or the book gets lost. I've seen people, obviously stamp seed's a great one, where you implant the seed phrase on a piece of steel. It's fire resistant. I would make 2 of those, keep them in separate places, but I would never put the words in the order. I would always, because if somebody gets that plate, they've got to access immediately to your funds. I heard somebody put this out a couple years ago, in a 24-word seed phrase, if they are not in order, it will take a hacker somewhere between 2 weeks to 2 months to decode with the fastest decoding software, punching those in. If it's a 12-word, it's only like 2 days to a few weeks. So, but if they're, so even if they have the words, there's going to be time. So if you've lost your plate or your piece of paper, even if you store it on paper, just never put the words in order. Memorize an order for those numbers so that you put the words down and then know how to order them when you want to restore a wallet at any time.
So, okay, I've got a few questions on this. So if we just backtrack a bit. So the exchange is the platform where you buy and sell your assets like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
Correct.
Can
I make a caveat to that? I
Sure.
recommend, because of the taxation laws everywhere, and I recommend to people always just move fiat onto these places, buy a stable coin, and then trade on a decentralized exchange or trade in a jurisdiction, not use a VPN and trade to jurisdiction that's not your own.
And why is that?
Because taxation's theft. That's my and why encourage? You have no capital gains if you're always just buying stable coins and putting them back on. But you have capital gains when you sell what they consider property, which are the crypto assets.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to a decentralized exchange and you are just trading in your crypto assets, and then you send back, someday you want to cash out some of your earnings, right? They'll send back stable coins and transfer those to your bank. There's no capital gain.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What's a decentralized exchange?
So decentralized exchange is one with no central authority operating it. It is actually done with autonomous software that does where the actual users provide the liquidity for trading. And for that, you receive a reward, usually in LP tokens. For example, if Bitcoin and Ethereum, if I wanted to trade Bitcoin for Ethereum or vice versa, I could actually put Bitcoin and Ethereum in that pool. In return, I would receive what they call LP tokens, a liquidity provider token. And that gives me a percentage of the fees they collect as it's traded. Mm-hmm. And it's all done in a decentralized manner. Some of the more famous ones are Uniswap. You have Pancake Swap, Sushi Swap, Jupiter, which is not an exchange, but an aggregator that gets you the best exchange rates on multiple platforms on Solana, including Radium and Orca, which are also swaps. So pretty much any layer one chain has a decentralized exchange.
What and I've heard some of these, right? Uniswap and the Pancake Swap. Do you have a preference or do you have many?
I really prefer Jupiter and Solana for a couple of reasons. Any type of trading anymore. Now, Uniswap has moved to the layer 2, so you can trade Ethereum and Ethereum tokens. But if you're trading on Uniswap with Ethereum, I mean, the fees can get out of hand astronomical. I mean, I've seen trade. We used to say you were priced out of being able to trade your dust. So dust are like old coins that didn't really make it. And you had maybe $25 or $30 of coins in a wallet. Well, on Ethereum, the transaction cost you $75. It was like, I can't get rid of these things, So we call it, you were trapped by the price. But now with the layer 2s on Ethereum, Polygon, Arbitrum, all those, you can use Uniswap there. If you go on BNB, Pancake Swap is the primary decentralized exchange. If you're on Solana, of course, you have Orca and Radium, but now I do everything on Solana on Jupiter. It's fantastic. I even provide liquidity to they have a perpetual futures contract trading platform on that, and I provide liquidity and I get JLPs, and that JLP token has paid 100% interest in 9 months now. So over 9 months, I've earned 100% on the money I put to help provide liquidity. It's virtually risk-free because it's constantly getting fees added to it. Where if you're a liquidity provider to 2 coins, mm-hmm. Those 2 coins need to move fairly simultaneously in amount, in price, and together. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if one unbalances, you get what's called impermanent loss, and you actually can end up even collecting fees and actually losing value because one side goes up faster or down faster than the other. So okay. That's the risk to becoming a liquidity provider when you offer dual trading pairs.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of information there, and mm-hmm. You're at the sophisticated end, right? So people probably listening to this, their heads spinning around now.
Yeah, I'm getting them spinning.
they'll get this we're hearing pancake swap, and they'll be like, what is this all about? So at the end of the day, for people who are in the space or just getting into it, the exchange is the place where you buy and where you sell. There are alternatives, but as a starting point to get your feet in the water,
that's probably point. Yeah, buy and sell. Get an exchange account in your area. Be able to get started. A lot of them now are very sophisticated and will allow you to. And I think actually Strike, which is global, which is Bitcoin only, but is a great play. They've got a great program inside the app where it will buy for you at regular intervals. So if you set it one every day, every week, when Bitcoin was down at 20,000, I just turned on Strike and told it to buy $50 a day and just left it on for about 3 months.
Yeah. The CoinSpot application in Australia, which is the largest here, does the same thing. You can buy it in bundles.
That's fantastic. Set it, forget it. You've got the money, and let it just buy for you.
Yeah. Okay. So then we move it out of these exchanges into the cold wallet or cold storage. There's a lot of terminology for this, but essentially what that means is that you've got this piece of hardware that you can now access your wallet with either a 12 or 24 seed phrase. So for newbies, what's a seed phrase? It's 12 or 24 words, which is a password essentially, which is your access into your wallet, which is now offline, off the exchange. Think about it like being your own personal bank. And these are the keys that you need to get into that bank. The good news is it's your bank. It's not anyone else's bank. No one knows about it. No one can access, and it's protected. But you said some interesting things about this seed phrase, which I want to dig into. So first of all, it was obviously you need to protect that, and you need to protect it like a lotto ticket, because in a lot of cases it is. And if you lose that or it's gone, then everything goes with it. So you need to take self-security and protect that in such a way with that importance as well. With the seed phrase, so you said don't have it in order. So you would record it in not in order, somewhere, somehow. And are you saying just come up with some way to know how to put those things into order?
Whether, it's a song, whatever, but, 1 through 24. If I can remember that 1, 2, 3, and every fourth one is transposed. So 1, 2, 3 would be 8. Then 5, 6, 7 would be 4. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to transpose those 24 numbers in your mind. You only have to change about 4 of them out of order to make it impossible for a hacker to easily get into your wallet. They're going to have them out of order. They're going to have the 24 words. They have to put it into a sophisticated program that's going to attempt to log into a wallet until it matches and comes to a wallet that the specific pattern they input those words brings up a wallet with any money in it. So this is what gives you time if you lose your seed phrase or you're compromised to then transfer the coins to a new wallet and forget the old one. That's my first rule of thumb. Come up with a way to never. I have friends. I have friends that are they have extensive amount of money in Bitcoin, and I was in fact visiting one of them this summer, and he's got his seed phrase saved on his iPhone. I go, what are you doing? You can't do that. Well, he goes, how am I supposed to remember that? Well, hey, that's the crux of this problem. That's why I really do love the stamp seed ones, because it's a piece of metal. You put it on a couple of plates, store them in different places, and just manipulate the words in a couple of ways. You could even put the cipher. If you want to do the numbers in different order, you could write that down and put that cipher somewhere without the words. and save
Yeah.
that on a couple places.
So when it comes time where you need to input that seed phrase again, the input has to be in the correct order.
Correct.
So if you forget this, or you make a system and you fuck it up and you go and you put one of those 24 words in the wrong order, you're not getting access.
Yes.
Okay. Correct. So let me ask you this.
Solution
okay. Yep.
On hard wallets. So we have another solution in hard wallets now. We have tap to pay, right? NFC cards. They have the little radio chip in them. So now you have the Tangem wallet, which has an NFC chip, and you get 3 cards. So now you have no seed phrase, nothing to write down, nothing to remember. The only thing you have is with your phone, either a PIN number or your thumbprint. It can do both biometric or PIN, and you have to tap the card to the phone to access your wallet and send anything off of it. The beauty of this is storing seed phrases and remembering, ciphers, or having to store a cipher somewhere with a seed phrase somewhere. That's gone with this. The bad part is there's 3 cards. They are the only thing with your seed phrase. Now, somebody can get one of those cards. They can't access your wallet because they don't have your biometric or your PIN. But if you were to lose all 3 cards, money's gone forever. There's no way to recover the seed.
Right. Because, whereas with the other options, all you need is the seed phrase. You can lose that hardware as much as you want.
Right. So I guess it's down to are you the guy that always loses his keys, or are you the guy that is misplacing, stuff around the house, or maybe, subject to starting fires randomly? You don't want your paper wallet around any torches.
Yeah. I mean, I literally do not own a key for anything, not for the car, not for the house, not for the garage. It's all, it's all by PIN code and biometric.
Yeah. And I look, the wallet technology is amazing what they're starting to come with. And I think we're very close to having what they're trying to do now is to use your biometric data and your facial recognition points to create a seed phrase. So you wouldn't have to remember it. You would have the software you'd thumbprint and it would create a seed phrase, and the only person that could sign transactions is the one with this face and this thumb.
Yeah. Isn't that risky with like what AI is doing now, when they can just, deep fake everything so easily?
Not if it's a scanner software that has to scan your face and so forth, unless they're able to, obviously if they can make a mask that completely matches my features, that would be something. But a very, very interesting, prospect that I think will come out. And I actually think AI is being used to develop that technology, where we can completely use our biometrics to store a seed phrase that is solely ours. That's pretty cool. As long as they don't steal our biometric data,
Yeah, I mean, holy shit! The whole thing. It sounds like it's only for the extremely technically savvy and the nerds and the people who have been in the space for 15 years plus. I remember when I got my wallet, for the first time and set it up, I was like, what's going on here? Like, it was very, it wasn't easy to do, put it that way. And it was very intense and it was very concerning. And that's just getting the thing set up. And then once it actually comes time to actually move some funds, my heart was beating out of my chest, because you were just putting so much trust and faith in, like, if I push that and it's supposed to end up from there to there, and you're sitting there watching it and it doesn't. and you're just so concerned about losing it because it's just so new. And I guess that's why we trust. Well,
Yeah.
some people do trust the banks, right? Because it's like, I don't know how it works, but I trust them to do it and do it properly and look after it. Once you start the self custody, the trust is now internal. So you've actually got to really want it.
It's trustless and permissionless, and that
Yeah.
is, and if you have faith in the technology that and I'm sure you have now done so many transactions, it's pretty much old hat to
Yeah.
move some Bitcoin or something. Here's the good news, though. I mean, again, that Tangent wallet, which I gave both my parents Tangent wallets. They have moved their significant portions of their retirements into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I, talked them on the phone, and they're fine moving money off of Coinbase, moving Bitcoin into their wallet now. And it took, 30 minutes with my dad, maybe an hour with my mom, just walking her through the steps of this. Far easier than the Ledger wallet or the Trezor for the average person. And in their case, my daughter has one of their cards to hold. I have one of their cards to hold, and they have the card that they use to make transaction. And if they do lose one, either myself or my daughter will be able to give them a backup, and then we'll get them a new wallet so that there's always 3 cards. And that's our plan for them. I wanted them to be able to be self-sufficient, and the Tangent wallet is great for new people. And as you learn and want to be, self-sovereign, I think later on you'll probably want to move to a more sophisticated wallet and a form of where you can transfer your wealth from one device to another by using the seed phrases.
Yeah. So here's something I don't understand. Well, there's a couple of questions on this, but for example, and Ledger, the Ledger wallets seem to be pretty popular for, I guess, maybe the first person going to cold storage. It's the Ledger or what's the other one? Anyway, so if I get a Ledger wallet and I set it up and I've got my 24-word seed phrase, am I only now stuck to Ledger with that seed phrase, or is that seed phrase my seed phrase regardless of the wallet I use?
So various wallets use the same technology and seed phrases to generate an address. So if you have your Bitcoin on a Ledger, I can go to any Bitcoin wallet, tell that wallet I have a 24-word seed phrase, input those 24 words, and pull up the same Bitcoin. Because this is all a hard wallet is a private key to access the ledger. So the wallet doesn't hold your Bitcoin. The ledger, the secure Bitcoin blockchain ledger, holds your Bitcoin. And this is your key to be able to move that Bitcoin.
Okay.
And without it, so there's nothing stored on the device.
So let me give you a scenario then. So let's say I've got all of my crypto off the exchange and it's in my Ledger wallet. I've got the Ledger set up and I've got the Ledger application on my phone and on my computer.
Yeah.
When I want to go and look at my money, I go into that Ledger application and I put in my password, not the seed phrase, just a password or a thumbprint or a biometric. And now I can see the numbers on the screen.
Yes.
Scenario I'm going to give you is one day I go to Ledger, Ledger's not there. I can't get it online. I look at Ledger, there's just zeros on the screen. I'm like, what the fuck's happened? What would I be doing then? Would I be going to set up Tangent, say that I've got a 24-word seed phrase, and then put that in, and now I can see everything?
Not Tangent, but any Bitcoin, virtually any Bitcoin wallet you can download to your phone. These would be hot wallets, obviously. So you could get, say, a Trezor device, which is a separate, and if their application is working and Ledger has disappeared, You
Yeah.
would input, then you would input. Tangent can't be done that way because it doesn't use a seed phrase. So you couldn't tell it that I want to access this wallet.
Right. Got it.
But Ledger, yes, or excuse me, Trezor. Engrave is another hard wallet that's fantastic. Another air gapped hard wallet. Any of those, or the Phantom wallet, which I use a whole bunch. Again, I put in the 24-word seed phrase. I can see my coins. So
can you use multiple? Can you have
if
the
you
Phantom, the Trezor, the Ledger, the seed phrases on all of them, and you've got? Can you do that?
Yeah, and believe me, I think I have over 30 wallets now.
And why do you have 30 wallets?
Well, some are better for interacting with certain things, but one of the other reasons is simple. 30 wallets means that if one's compromised, I'm not out all my Bitcoin or all my crypto, or I do both. So this way, I don't risk within the Phantom wallet. For example, or MetaMask, which are all hot wallet extensions, you can create multiple accounts with different seed phrases. So I have my Phantom wallet. I have 9 accounts on that, all with different seed phrases. My MetaMask wallet has 6 or 7, and this way, one of the things about security is, we're in uncharted territory. This is new technology, and there's a lot of really neat things coming on. When you learning to do decentralized finance and investing in projects without any third-party intermediary is really enticing. But also, you open and expose your wallet because your signature is your wallet address in these platforms. So what I like to do is I'll create a wallet and just put a little bit of gas fees. So, Bitcoin uses Bitcoin, Ethereum uses Ethereum, Solana uses Solana. I'll put a little bit in that wallet and then interact with the new protocol. And if I interact with the new protocol and I got $5 of crypto on there and it's a scam and they drain my wallet, I lost $5. If I go with my whole wallet and I interact with a new protocol and it gets drained, I'm not living in El Salvador anymore. I'm back here, doing whatever, probably working as a janitor at my age now. So, So it's just learning security. And I tell everybody I want to get involved in this, it's just start with dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. Start to read the Bitcoin Standard by Saifedean Ammous. Start to follow a couple of people on YouTube and Twitter that are very knowledgeable, that will help you kind of through your journey, and then read as much as you can. There's so much out there that's available about what the future is, and then don't fall for the hype. We're in right now, we're in a hype cycle. I mean, we're in the point where pretty much anything you buy for the next 2 to 3 months at least is probably going to go up. And that's a dangerous point in the cycle to get involved in crypto, because everybody gets euphoric and says, "Oh, I can't lose." And unfortunately, crypto has violent swings. And in terms of Bitcoin is the only asset you should hold long term forever. The rest of them are all designed. All of them you want to use to make more Bitcoin, and they all have cycles. And we are just getting into the cycle where the altcoins will outperform Bitcoin. So now is the time to be buying altcoins that you like, that you hear about. The more you hear about this time of the cycle, the more they're in the news, the more of those you want to buy, because they're getting in the public mind. And you get into those and you ride it, and then follow someone. You can follow me and my blog page, follow somebody there's plenty of guys on Twitter. They're going to be screaming, "It's over. Get out." And take all those coins, sell them for Bitcoin. And you've just dramatically increased how much Bitcoin you have. And now let Bitcoin ride, because it is truly the only form of money right now. There are others that are trying. Caspa, Ethereum has a play because they have a deflationary product burning mechanism to try to become money and the money of internet. But I think the smart contract platforms are going to be used for a ton of things. I just don't ever see them being used as a medium of exchange. And at this point, with Wall Street in the mix, I'm not sure Bitcoin will ever be used as a full-time medium of exchange. I think it's solidifying itself as a financial asset and a store of value. And,
Yeah.
I'm going to tick off any Bitcoin maximalists listening to you, but I don't know that it's going to make it as a medium of exchange. I love to use it. That was my thrill when I went to El Salvador for the first time, was to start paying for lunch and stuff with Bitcoin. And even a street vendor, I paid 60 cents in Bitcoin. Just a street vendor, I asked her, "Puedo pagar con Bitcoin?" And she goes, "Oh, see," and she whips out her phone. That was pretty cool. We're transacting outside the financial stigma of the world.
But isn't that the thing, Carrier, with Bitcoin in particular? Like, people would say, why transact with it? Because, and you've seen the stuff online, there was some guy in New York who offered 55,000 Bitcoin for the house. And the guy said, "You got to be kidding me. I want money. That's stupid." But and that was, 8 years ago or whatever. Had he taken the 55,000 Bitcoin as payment for the house, we know that he would be sitting on a lot of money right now. So, why would people transact with Bitcoin when you're ultimately going to end up paying more?
Well, eventually it will become a transactional, because it eats all assets, right? And it's always going to have scarcity, but eventually they're not going to be able to make enough paper, right? You're eventually, fiat currency can only go so long. They're moving, this move to make it a reserve asset for governments, for the U.S. government right now is particularly, but Russia is going to follow suit. We know the big nations are going to follow if the U.S. does it. You can back the paper currency, but I think Putin, interestingly enough, has the most interesting take. He passed a bill where Bitcoin is allowed to be it's lawful now in Russia to settle trade in Bitcoin. And I thought it was fascinating because you also have Suriname just discovered more oil than there is in Qatar or the UAE. There's more oil in Suriname, South America. And the gal that's one of the leading contenders for their presidency has promised to put Suriname on the Bitcoin standard, because they're a country that's been kept poor by the IMF and US dollar loans.
Yeah.
Now they have all this wealth coming from oil that they want to be away from the bootstep of the United States and the IMF. So, but that got me thinking, we've always settled, oil in dollars, but Putin's and this gal are setting up the ability to settle oil in Bitcoin.
Wow. Interesting.
This kind of takes away the need for fiat currency. If you start settling global trade in Bitcoin, then maybe all we ever will have are the stable coins. And then maybe we do need an algorithmic stable coin that isn't produced by, backed by a government debt instrument.
Yeah. But
like the U.S. Treasuries. So it's fascinating, and it's all game theory. But when you start to see the way the chess pieces are moving around the board, I really get into this stuff because I can see, the U.S. really messed up when they tried to weaponize the dollar and put sanctions on Russia. And this is open to the whole world to, hey, we can't save our wealth and our country's treasury and something the United States could arbitrarily cut us off from.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's causing a big shift in global order.
Yeah. You were saying before around altcoins and altcoin season, and for people again listening, this is all the other options in the digital currency space that you can buy, which will have big ups and big downs. But as money rolls down from Bitcoin into ETH, that's when these lower level ones actually start to see some shift, because people are now going, well, I'm not going to get 100% gains on Bitcoin in the next month, but if I sell some of that and put it into Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, any of these other ones, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that quick gain, right? So that they can then take profit and then move it back. One thing I wanted to ask you off that, if you have got into an altcoin, do you sell it and buy Bitcoin, or do you just swap? Because there's a lot of these exchanges you can just swap that for that. What would you say?
Usually it's getting less. There's fewer and fewer trading pairs in Bitcoin. They're trying to do them all in USDT or USDC, which is fine. If it's available, I would just swap for Bitcoin.
Yep. Okay.
But if it's not, you go to USDT and then buy Bitcoin with that. And what obviously I chart and I follow. I used to spend hours and hours, countless hours, researching coins, projects, what they do. For the most part, now I just chart them, and I use technical analysis against their Bitcoin value to look at places to enter. And because it doesn't make any sense to trade into a coin unless it's going to go up against Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And you'll see this all the time. A great example is Ethereum so far, right? Ethereum is up roughly about 200% from the bottom, to 250% from the bottom. And that sounds great. In the last year and a half, you've made good money on Ethereum. Problem is it's down 40% against Bitcoin. So you would have been better off just buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But on the flip, Solana is up 400% against Bitcoin.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years. But that is rare. There's only 7 coins that as of November 1st, there were only 7 coins that had outgained Bitcoin in the previous 2 years. So my advice to anybody, quit going looking for the needle in the haystack. Get rich slowly.
Try tell a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old that.
Right. Well, compared to the TradFi system, getting in Bitcoin compared to stocks is way faster. But go start with Bitcoin, get into Bitcoin, and if you learn about the cycles, then you would know that right now is the time to deploy. If you have capital, go into altcoins. If you have Bitcoin, take a sliver of it, and I mean a sliver because altcoins are risky, and move that in and go for it. Because I think all the metrics are saying we have started alt season. Alt season only lasts for about 15 to 18 weeks. This is going to be over before we know it. So get in, get your gains, get out, get back into Bitcoin. And there's a good chance, because of the buying pressure and the traditional 4-year cycle, that Bitcoin is going to continue after a very steep correction in the spring and early summer. Is going to continue to even a higher high in October of next year. That's what the 4-year cycle tells us. But we make no mistake, February or March, we are going to see a correction. It's the kind when people are first. I mean, Ben, I don't know if you've been there, how many people have been around in their first cycle when the first big correction hits. And they've just been showing you how much they've made. And they go, look, you were right about this and this. And then you get that phone call or you're with them and their face just goes white.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, it's your first correction.
Yeah. That's the lack of understanding of it, and it's the emotional psychology which wrecks most people. And I have seen it, and unfortunately, it has been friends and family members. They've gone 20K into Bitcoin. It's at 25, it's at 30. They're fist pumping. They're now taking a bit off the top and going into these punk coins and stuff like that. Then Bitcoin drops 30% and they go, oh shit, and they sell the lot.
Right.
So now they've lost a chunk of money, and then 6 months, 12 months, 18 months later, hey, look where we are now. If you had just left that fucking 20K there and just relaxed and go with the ebbs and flows and just zoom out, people, just zoom out. You're going to see the volatility. But if we have a 40% drawback on Bitcoin, look at that over the last 2 years, 18 months. That's nothing. Who cares?
No,
like just relax.
and it's normal actually for an asset of this size. I mean, if you go back and look at the gold chart, it had violent moves. Go back.
Yeah.
I mean, we have gold's been traded since the early 1900s. There's actually charting of this, and gold has had spastically violent moves over the years, and yet we think that is a secure store of value. And it's wait a minute, that's not a secure store of value, but it's much more safe than the dollar during inflationary times.
Yeah.
But and Bitcoin, I think there's a misnomer when people think here Bitcoin is a store of value. It's a safe place. It's a hedge against inflation. Well, it absolutely is. But just like when there's panic in the streets, what is the most liquid asset in the world? It's Bitcoin. I can trade it on my phone 24/7 from anywhere in the world. So where am I going to go first to sell? If I panic, that's what I had to, if I wanted. Now, I understand I don't ever want to go into dollars. In fact, when there's a panic, once you've been in this long enough, you go look at your phone and go, yeah, I'm going to let it go down a little more and then I'm going to buy it. And that's how you react to the downsides. And you thank the people that panicked. But in the end, this asset only goes up and to the right because of it's built in. The more people accumulate it, the more people use it. And there's the beauty of this is in Africa, in El Salvador, I think you're going to see this more in Argentina because of Malay.
Yeah.
This is a necessary tool for people to be able to get through life. They need Bitcoin. It is a stable currency for them, and to be able to transact with other people without, for Nigerians, there are plenty of honest Nigerians, but they can't, because of fraud and abuse of the US dollar, they can't transact around the world. They're banned mostwhere. And the only thing they can do business deals with is Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. And it's with all of the gains and everything else put aside, like you said, this changes how the world interacts. It enables people to be able to, play a part in society and play a part with the economy and play a part with trade under their own, control. And it's some of the horror that you see around the world when that control's been taken away from them. I've got plenty of stories over here. We could talk all day on this, but it is just not fair, and it's just not reasonable. And that's kind of on us to expect that the government and the banks are going to be fair and reasonable. They're not, because they don't exist with that approach to the world. And luckily, based on, my earliness of getting into this and moving things and stuff, I'm not faced with the same problems other people are now trying to get into this space, because many banks won't let you put any money into an exchange at all. And the rest of the banks go, you can only put in this amount per month. Yeah. So people are like, well, shit, so I can't even buy this stuff if I want to.
That's the system we're trying to remove, right? Yeah. And the only way is to fight through the roadblocks that they put up.
Yeah.
Because if we fight through these roadblocks, what we're going to end up there's a famous saying from Henry Kissinger. It's like if you control the food, you control the country. If you control the money, you control the world. Now, right now, all the money and the financial systems are controlled by central banks and governments. And this is how they are able to pull their totalitarians. We don't like what you're doing, so we're going to. And the scariest thing in the world is a central bank is a digital currency, because now they're going to give you programmable money. And so if you've bought too much gas in their mind, they can cut you off from buying gas. If you've bought, you say you like to have a few beers and you buy 2 6-packs in a week, that second 6-pack, they may double the price. Because, well, you're doing something unhealthy. That's how dystopian this can get with central planners. But if we as people fight through the roadblocks they're putting in our way now, and we adopt Bitcoin, they can't stop us. And I brought up Putin earlier. He just was interviewed about that. And he said, Bitcoin is unstoppable. If the people want it, the government can't stop it.
Yeah. So here, this is the last question. So I apologies, we've gone a bit over, but I'm keen to know this, because this is what keeps me awake at night. People, the things that I need, my house, a vehicle, power, internet, all the services that I need still want money. They still want fiat.
Yeah.
So, and in order for me to actually to pay for those services, I actually still need fiat as well. Mm-hmm. So I'll just throw this in here. I had a plumber come to my house the other week for a leak in the kitchen. This was the first crypto transaction I've ever done, because I've never sold. I've never done it. I paid him in Dogecoin, and it was just like phone out, beep beep, done. I was like, this is awesome. Uh-huh. But back to my problem is like, how can I get out of these banks when my insurance company wants cash and everything is still in that phase? How do we actually get out of that?
Look for the neobanks. And again, a jurisdiction, I don't know. Jurisdictionally, I'm pretty trapped here in the U.S.
Sure.
Europe has a lot of these neobanks that are crypto banks that actually allow you to spend your crypto. I don't know, crypto.com debit card.
Yep.
If Fold or Spritz are available in Australia, they are a way to, they actually give you, Fold gives you a bank routing number so you can pay your bills with your Bitcoin on Fold.
Right.
Spritz allows you to link and charge the card. It's just a debit card with any of your cryptocurrencies. So whatever's in your wallet, they use there's 5 chains. I think it's Binance and Ethereum, and they say they do Solana, but it didn't work for me. But I have used Binance USDT, and I have a Spritz virtual card, and that just is through Apple Pay. You just tap to pay with that. So there are solutions coming, and I just tell people, look for businesses that are accepting Bitcoin. Ask people if they accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrency payments, because the more we encourage business to accept this, the more we grow the economy away from the government.
Yeah.
And I truly believe this world is going to be a much better place when the people control the government and are not being controlled by the financial institutions that have taken over our government.
What a great way to wrap up. Curry, thank you so much for your time. Just before you go, you mentioned your blog or other areas, like people want to follow you or they want to see what you're doing and get some better education from your insights. How do we do that?
Go to thefreedompeople.org/blog. And I do a crypto blog there at least monthly. Sometimes I post videos of charts for those who like to geek out like me and study charts and moving patterns. And you can always shoot me an email at curry@thefreedompeople.org.
Love it. Thank you so much for your time, sharing the insights. I would love to get you back on in the future. I know a lot of people are going to see this and it's going to start their wheels spinning in their mind. So we hopefully get a lot of questions and comments about it, and would love to do it again in the future. But thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you, Ben.
All right. See you later. Take care.
Bye.